Iraq. Senator McCain, you say that you are willing to be the last man standing for U.S. involvement in Iraq, but the Iraqi government has failed to meet one political benchmark after another for political reform. Why should Americans continue to fight and die while Iraqi politicians continue to do so little?
We have to continue because it's not just the Iraqi vital national security interests that are at stake here. It's America's vital national security interests. If we fail in Iraq, we will see Iraq become a center for al-Qaeda, chaos, genocide in the region, and they'll follow us home. After we lost the war in Vietnam, we came home. They didn't follow us home. If you read Zarqawi, you read bin Laden, you read al-Qaeda, they'll tell you they want to follow us home. I believe we have a new strategy and a good strategy. Only 4 of the 5 brigades that we need to implement the strategy are there. It's long, it's hard, it's tough, it's difficult. Americans are frustrated because of the mishandling of this war. But our national interests, United States national interests, are at stake. I believe the Maliki government has got to improve. They've got to pass certain laws that we all know about. But we must succeed, and we cannot fail, and I will be the last man standing if necessary.
Governor Thompson, in the last debate, you said that you would, quote, require the Maliki government to vote on whether or not they want us to continue to stay in Iraq. You said that you would, quote, require the 18 provinces to elect governments and that you would split oil revenues. This is a freely elected government, sir. How can you require them to do anything?
There is no question that the al-Maliki government needs to step up and do what is right. The United States government has been there for 4 years. We've lost many individuals, 3,400 individuals as of today. And it's time for the al-Maliki to vote whether or not they want us in the 5th year to stay in their country or whether or not they want us to go home. Secondly, if in fact they do allow the 18 territories, which geographically defined, allow them to elect their leaders like we elect the 50 governors and 50 legislatures in the United States, they will elect individuals that they feel are comfortable with them, that they feel that they have a stake in their government. And if you split the oil revenues, 1/3 to the federal government, 1/3 to the territories, and 1/3 every man, woman, and child, every man, woman, and child will feel they have a stake in their government, stake in their country, and they'll start using that money for peace and for building businesses and making sure they build their country. That's why my plan will work, and it will win the peace in Iraq.
Governor Romney, can you foresee any circumstances under which you would pull out of Iraq without leaving behind a stable political and security situation?
Well, I'm certainly not going to project failure. And those kind of circumstances that you would suggest would be projecting failure. It is critical for us to remember that Iraq has to be considered in the context of what's happening in the Middle East and throughout the world. There is a global jihadist effort. Violent, radical jihadists want to replace all the governments of the moderate Islamic states, replace them with a caliphate. And to do that, they also want to bring down the West, in particular us. And they've come together as Shia and Sunni and Hezbollah and Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood and al-Qaeda with that intent. We have to recognize that what we're doing in Iraq has an enormous impact on what's going to happen in this global struggle. And that's why it's important for us to understand that if we were just walk out precipitously, we could conceivably see the border with Turkey be destabilized by virtue of the Kurdish effort. We could have the Iranians take over the Shia South, and perhaps most frightening, you could have al-Qaeda play a dominant role among the Sunnis and then have a setting where you'd have something far worse than Afghanistan in their hands. And so we recognize that it's critical for us to provide the stability to allow a central government to survive and thrive.
Senator Brownback, when President